Hello, children. Today I have come up in front of you with a wonderful story, and it is The Happy Prince by Oscar Wilde. It's a story about a prince and a little swallow who sacrifice their happiness and wealth for the good of others who are more needy than them. The whole story it revolves around the happy prince and the swallow. So before I talk more about the story, let us discuss about its writer, that is Oscar Wilde. Children, Oscar Wilde is a notable figure among the English writers. He was an Irish poet as well as playwright. He was born in Ireland in the year 1854 and he died in France in the year 1900. He has produced a wonderful series of stories, novels, dramas, and some of the short stories that I am telling you, these are the one that we are reading right now, Happy Prince, The Canterville Ghost, The Selfish Giant. And when we talk about the dramas, on the basis of those dramas, there had been made some wonderful movies. The names of the movies are Wild, Dorian Gray, The Importance of Being Earnest, many more. So, in brief, we can say that Oscar Wilde has been hailed a phenomenon in the field of English literature. Now I tell you about the story. A statue of a prince is installed at the top of a tall column in the city. Once he was a real prince, and at that time he was pretty happy, very happy, because he was kept ignorant of any sadness or suffering outside his palace. Means he did not know what was happening around the world because he was busy in enjoying the luxuries in the palace. His life was one of joy and fulfilled desires. So, upon his death, a statue was made depicting him, describing him, which was covered in gold, had beautiful sapphires for eyes, and had a ruby attached to the handle of his sword. Because of the value society places on gold and jewels, he was thought to be quite beautiful. But some of the councillors, especially the town councillors, they used to consider him useless. But at the same time, they used to say that it is very useful. Everyone who used to see him, they adore him every time. They used to praise him every time. But unfortunately for the statue, his placement atop a high hill allows him to witness for the first time the pain and misery experienced by the poor of the city, of whom he had remained ignorant when alive. That means it was the first time that he was able to see the miseries of the poor people, because earlier I have told you that he was kept aloof, he was quite different, or he was kept quite away from the miseries of the world. Okay, so that is why when he saw the poor people in such kind of miseries, so it was a different experience for him, because he had never come to know about these when he used to enjoy the luxuries in his palace. Okay, so he felt little bit sad. So now he could not control this sight, means he could not control his heart expressing on this poor sight, and he becomes overwhelmed. He was full of emotions, he was full of sad thoughts, and he used to start weeping every now and then. Okay, so uh, the happy prince, earlier he was considered. Okay, so now that happy prince, now he used to weep most of the time, because he could not see the people with such kind of miseries. So one day, a self-serving swallow bird, on its annual winter migration to Egypt, arrives to take overnight shelter beneath this statue, and eventually becomes affected with the gratitude by the statue's kindness and desire to help others. The swallow, he liked the generosity of this happy prince who was in the form of statue, and in this way he became, means the swallow became his friend, and in a way he wanted to help him as per his instructions. So he became his messenger, and now he agrees to remove the jewels and the gold from it on the command of the prince, to bring satisfaction, badly needed financial security, and compassion to the needy people seen by the prince. And these needy people include a seamstress who has no money to feed her ill child, who is given the ruby, a young man who is too poor to buy coal for his fireplace in the winter, who is given a sapphire, a poor young girl who is barefoot and without a covering for the head in winter, who is given the other sapphire, and many poor and starving people who were given parts of the gold leaf covering the statue of the prince. So, this swallow acts as a messenger of the happy prince to carry the jewels and gold to these needy people. As the statue's gold and jewels are taken and distributed among the poor, the prince now is no longer able to see the impoverished people around him, as his eyes have been removed. He knows that poverty is there, and he is not blind to the suffering of others as he once was. Even without eyes to see, he knows that poverty still it is existing around him. But now we know that everything that he had, it has been distributed among the needy people. So now he could not do anything. He could see only through his heart that still people are full of sufferings around him. But uh, he was helpless right now. All he had already been, all he had already been distributed through his nice messenger, the swallow. Meanwhile, the swallow keeps on requesting the happy prince to allow him to leave because he was missing his friends. They all were waiting for him in Egypt. But now the winter season started and it started snowing also. So the swallow lies at the feet of the statue. And because it was acute cold, so the swallow could not control this. The exposure of extreme cold, it was not bearable for the swallow, and because he had done a lot of labor in the name of charity also for happy prince, so he could not uh, fight more with the nature's fury. So what happens, due to this tiredness and the effect of this extreme cold, he died. He could never reach Egypt because he exchanged his dream of a warm climate and comfort with a bigger dream to bring help to those who are in need. Means he proved himself, the swallow proved himself a true messenger in the eyes of everyone, in the eyes of humanity, in the eyes of that happy prince and everyone. So now, when the swallow died, the heart of the statue cracks with sadness at the loss of his friend. The most beautiful part of the statue, the kind and the giving heart, could not be seen from the outside, but a sound was heard. Upon seeing the statue in such despair, in such ugly state, the powerful people of the city, the town councillors, the mayor, decided that he is no longer useful, he is no longer beautiful, he looks quite ugly. So they took a decision that this statue should be demolished. So they did something. What? Like the statue is melted in the furnace, and the broken heart made of lead does not melt. It is thrown away onto a dust heap where the dead swallow was also lay. Okay, how tragic and it seems. Okay, the creatures who had been quite generous to the people. Now, this is a very poor, tragic scene in the story, that the people, that the creature who had been quite generous, quite kind to the poor people, they had been given a poor treatment, and they were thrown, they were thrown into that heap of dust, onto that heap of dust. So after death, now the highlight of the story I am telling you, what happens. God now in the heaven asked for one of his angels to bring him the two most precious things in the city, from the city of that happy prince. So the angel brought the leaden heart of the happy prince and the dead swallow. God was quite happy. He praised truly the choice of the angel. God said that the little bird would sing forever in his garden of paradise, and the happy prince would praise him forever in his city of gold. See, basically, it is a kind of fable, and quite truly, the writer has managed to express the theme of true generosity through these two creatures, the happy prince, the swallow. See, ultimately, the message that we get in the story is that human beings should not lose any chance to serve the humanity in the real sense. They should serve the people, forgetting their self. Okay, because ultimately, the big reward that uh, human beings they expect, okay, they get in the true sense, if not by human beings, it might be by the Almighty. Okay, see, the happy prince, the swallow, they haven't expected that their tragic end would lead them to the ultimate blessing that they have got in the heaven. Okay, I hope you understood the content of the story very well. It is such a wonderful story that you will feel that human beings, they should continue helping the poor people, helping the needy people in the true sense without expecting anything in the name of reward. Because we don't know when we get the ultimate reward, like the swallow and the happy prince got after their death. Okay, so reward is nowhere when we do service to the people, the needy people in the true sense. So keep on reading the story, keep on understanding the story. Certainly, you will be blessed. Thank you, everyone, for exhibiting such patience and sincerity.